Managing difficult interactions, a case study. The organization, Super Smart, Incorporated, is an after-school learning center for kids ages 5-12. The company has been in existence for 15 years and is headquartered in St. Louis. It currently has 125 franchises in 30 states, primarily in the Midwest. Expansion plans include adding 25 new locations in the next year and entering California and Texas for the first time. The company is doing well but is always looking for ways to minimize operating costs and maximize profits. The people. George, Stacy and Henry's boss, who has been with the company for 8 years. Most of the time he's an easygoing guy, very relationship-oriented, and tries to avoid conflict whenever possible. Henry, one of George's employees. He is a project manager and has been with the company for just under 2 years. He does a good job, but is still perceived as the new guy since everyone else in the department has been there longer, and he is self-conscious about that. The people. Stacy, a project manager who has worked at SuperSmart for 3 years. George has been her boss the entire time. She excels at the task side of her job and is hoping to be promoted into a management position. George and Henry meet. George stops by Henry's office. George, hey, Henry, I need to talk to you. Henry, about what? George, I want to let you know that Stacy is getting promoted and you aren't. Henry, are you kidding me? That is so unfair. George, I know you don't agree, but that's the way it worked out this year. Henry and George continue talking. Henry, you never gave me a chance to make my case. George, it wouldn't have made any difference. You're not ready to be promoted. Henry, why not? What do you have against me? George, calm down. I don't have anything against you. You're a good employee with good technical skills. But you're not a team player. Henry blows up. Henry, what's that supposed to mean? I don't have a group hug every day? George, now you're just being silly. Henry, well, how am I supposed to feel? You always take Stacy's side. This is your fault and I'm tempted to start job hunting. George, Henry, get a grip. It's not the end of the world. It's just for now. Henry, easy for you to say. You got your promotion, though I'm not sure how. George suggests a break. George, Henry, attacking me doesn't fix anything. Let's table this for now and get back to it when you're in a better frame of mind. Henry, whatever. George tries again. George realizes he needs to continue this conversation with Henry. The next day, he knocks on Henry's door. George, Henry, if you've cooled off, we need to discuss the situation. What you didn't give me a chance to say is that I believe you can be promoted. You just have to develop your skills in a couple areas. Are you willing to talk about that? Henry, the team player business again? Henry defends himself. Henry continues, we can talk about it. But what does it mean? I do my job, I get promoted, or not, based on my work, not someone else's. So I just don't see where you're coming from. George, here's the way I see it. You tend to act like you've got it all under control and give off a leave me alone attitude. Henry, so you're saying people don't like me? George shares his point of view. George, let me finish. What I'm saying is that if you were more willing to listen to others, you would learn something. And you have good ideas to share, but people are less inclined to listen to you when you don't listen to them. Henry, I don't think that's true at all. George, which part don't you think is true? That you're not willing to listen? That you don't have good ideas? That others don't want to listen to you? Henry argues with George. Henry, all of that. I don't know what gives you the idea that I'm not willing to listen to others. George, well, for starters, you were unwilling to tell anyone that you didn't know the budget variance software. Henry, I did too know it. I just forgot some parts. George, see, that's a perfect example. Just admit you don't know it. It's okay not to know everything. No resolution. Henry, I know a lot more than most other project managers. George, we're getting off track here. What's going to make you feel better about the situation? Henry, if I get a promotion. George, I already explained why that can't happen right now. Henry, well then, nothing will make me feel better. They end their meeting, but nothing has been resolved. Henry complains to his friend. Henry is frustrated and calls his friend, Ed, who works in marketing. Henry, George told me that Stacy is getting promoted and I'm not. Can you believe him? He has never liked me. Ed, Henry, whoa. I remember just a couple months ago George nominated you for Employee of the Month. Henry, I'm sure he was just trying to get me to do more work. Henry and Ed continue talking. Ed, that's a bit cynical. I'm sure there's a reasonable explanation. What did George tell you? Henry, nothing, really. Just that I'm not ready because I'm not a team player, whatever that means. Ed, well, did you ask him what that means? I know it's important in our department that we all work together. Henry, he thinks I could learn more from other people. Ed offers advice to Henry. Ed, I gotta say, Henry, that sounds pretty reasonable. Why are you getting all worked up? Henry, how would you feel if you didn't get promoted and someone else did? I deserve a promotion. Ed, why don't you try doing what George is suggesting and see what happens? You might end up getting that promotion more quickly. Henry, maybe. George reflects. Meanwhile, George thinks about his interactions with Henry. He knows he could have done a better job sharing the information with Henry and handling the situation when Henry got angry, but he's not sure how. Now what? How did George contribute to making the interaction with Henry difficult? How did Henry contribute to making the interaction difficult? What should Henry do now? What should George do now?